Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to the Bricks King podcast, where I'm going to bend your ear about Lego, review those amazing bricks of plastic, and discuss what is new and up and coming around the Lego world. I'm your minifig host, Matt. Let's build on it. Welcome in, everyone. How are we doing today? Hopefully you're doing quite well wherever you are around this big blue marble that we currently inhabit, unless you are one of those that is off in space somewhere, and this signal is going to come back to you in, I don't know, 100 years from now, and be like, oh, we just picked up this weird guy talking about something we've never even heard of. No, I'm totally kidding. Anyway, as promised, we are back today to wrap up the Monkie Kid saga, the Monkie Kid new stuff for 2023, the summer wave releases that are about to hit soon here in the next week or so. So the last one is the Dragon of the East Palace. It is 80049, and with this set you have 2,364 pieces. It is going to retail for $190, 190 euros, and the part or price per part or price per piece, however you want to look at it, however you want to call it, the triple P, the 3P, it's actually only 8 cents, which is really, really good. So if you're already looking at value in comparison to some other things in Ninjago, which we'll talk about here in the next few days, that is going to be something completely different, where you're talking a price structure that is far more expensive than what we have seen in this wave of Monkie Kid sets. Now, Maze Dragon, that was a little bit, but anyway, I digress. We can talk more about that later. So what I want to do is I want to get the minifigs out of the way first, because there is so much to discuss in this set alone. So in this set, we do get duplicates of 2 different new minifigs, new molds that we have ever seen. The first of which is the Crab Generals. We have 2 Crab Generals. They use the little mini legs in brown, that darker brown color. They use a pearl gold for the torso and stuff. Some nice printing that is on there. It doesn't look so much like a crab's body. I see where they're kind of going with it, but he's got this kind of dressed up kind of shield in the front or in the back, and on the front it almost looks like he's wearing like a bikini to a certain degree. It's kind of funky looking, but he does come with teal hands. There is no minifig head. This is a newly sculpted piece. It looks like the head of a crab, part of a crab. It's okay. It's pretty nice. It's nice to have that. So those are 2 of the 2 of your minifigs. And like I said, they are duplicates. The next ones that we have that are duplicates are the Shrimp Soldiers. Shrimp Soldiers is a new piece as well, new head mold, not a minifig head, just a completely new head. You have a shrimp piece here, and this entire thing is that rubbery plastic, because the little whiskers, filaments that they have sticking off the side of the shrimp, and then the eyes as well that stick up above, all of that had to be that rubbery plastic just to be able to, keep things from breaking in the long run. His torso is exactly identical to the Crab General. The only difference is the legs, and they use the nougat color here for the legs. He has actually standard legs. He doesn't have the mini legs that do not move. He actually has normal minifig legs. Next guy that we have here is the Turtle Minister. Now I'm 99% sure this is a new printed piece here. Anyway, so your Turtle Minister has that dark blue mini legs. They do not bend. He has a blue torso with some nice little gold printing that is on it. He's got a turtle shell. It's just a little disc that Lego has, a standard disc that is printed with a turtle shell pattern on the top of that, and that is attached to his back. They've got a little brick built hat for him here. It kind of reminds me of a little pirate hat, which is kind of cool looking. You do get 2 of those shells, by the way. You do get a duplicate in here, which is always a good thing. Then he's got this, some kind of, it looks like some sort of writing utensil that he's got going on, and he's carrying around some kind of book. But I love the color of his head here. He only has one face print because there's nothing to cover up the backside. He's kind of got that little turtle beak that's going on because, hey, he's some kind of turtle guy. Next up, we have Monkey Kid, and Monkey Kid is wearing his kind of standard garb that he usually does. The only difference here, the big difference, is he does come with a pair of flippers, and he does come with his, he comes with a camera here, but he also comes with that new piece of the canister of air, the air tank, and then the breathing apparatus that goes into his mouth. It actually doesn't go into his mouth, but it's nice because what it does is it flexes, so it bends up and around, and it goes onto the stalk of the minifig torso, and then you put the head on top of that, and then his hairpiece, of course. But it's nice to have something like that, something a little bit different, something a little bit more unique. Then we have the Monkey King himself. He comes with his little bow staff. He's got his tail that is sticking up. He does have two faces. He has a very angry face and he has a very happy face. And if you heard that thing went flying, his hairpiece. Anyway, his legs, kind of standard fare that we've seen here, dual molded with red and black, some nice printing on there with a yellowish gown type thing that he's wearing. He has a yellow arm, he has a red arm, and then across the back it is that red continuation into the yellow continuation. It looks really, really nice. I like the printing on here, how accurate it was to matching up to the red of the arm, to the yellow of the arm, whether it be front or back. It's really, really nice stuff that they managed to accomplish it so well. Lastly, we have the Dragon of the East. This is a new mold, obviously, for the head, which is crazy cool looking. We'll talk about that in a moment. He has two different weapons here. One of them is the crystallized swords we have seen last year with the white dragon head hilt on it. Then we have this other one. It has a golden dragon head hilt with an opalescence piece. And just a little staff that he's carrying. It almost looks like you can bend this around as to make it a hammer or whatever. Maybe there's some kind of magic that comes out of it, like abrackaboom. I can't remember the Cinderella stuff. I don't know. He does have a teal cape. He comes in that white kind of powered up motif that we have seen with some of the others. Really nice stuff with the teal printing along with the gold on that white. It really does stand out and pop. His shoulder pauldrons that he has are three little spikes that are sticking out to each side. He does have two faces, and I had to look very, 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 very carefully. These faces don't change all that much. Very, very little do they change. You could, if you were somebody that was looking at this like, I don't see any difference. It is a very minimally noticeable difference. And the difference is basically in the mouth. There's very few changes that are going on with the face and the frown or the happiness, because he doesn't really have a happy face at all. It's kind of frown or frown, it's like 1A and 1B, frown A or frown B. It's basically the same, but one where his mouth is a little bit more tightly gritting together and one that is not. Now the hair piece is incredible. It's a big, bustly beard of magenta, and you have this gold painting that is going on here of, it looks like reindeer antlers or deer antlers or something like that. I really like the way this is done. I can really see this being used in another character in something at some point in time. I absolutely could. But I really like the way that is done. It's a really cool minifig to be able to get. All right, so let's go ahead and move into the actual build itself, which is very, very large. We've already talked about how many pieces this set has, and the just about 2,400 pieces is incredibly large for a set like this. But we've continued to get large main Monkey Kid sets, and this one, just continues to go along with that. The great thing about this is it is entirely supposed to be this underwater idea, this underwater theme. And they've really captured it really well with a bunch of different pieces in different colors and just different ideas that give you the sense that you are underwater. It just kind of sucks you into honestly what is going on, in what would be underwater, really. There's just a lot to it. So let's go ahead and we'll start at the top here. We're going to start at the top in the center, and we have this really, really built up. Think of it as like top end of a mansion or something like that. A lot of blue here, a lot of blue sloping here, and everything that is adorned throughout this thing is in gold. So if I say it's gold, you know that it is a gold piece. So we have some wispy pieces that are here on the very top of it in gold. There are a few of these spheres within the entire set. They are in that opalescence color, and it's, oh my goodness, it's incredible. Now, originally I thought, oh, these are going to be solid because the new Ninjago wave has these new spheres that are coming out. They look like marbles. They're about the size of marbles. And I thought, oh, they made these for both. So when I finally got a hold of this piece, I'm like, well, it's not a complete sphere. It's open on the bottom side of it, or top side, however you want to look at it, but it's flat and open. And I was like, okay, well, how are they going to pull that off with the Ninjago stuff? Well, you'll find out on the next episode. Anyway, so you have one on the very top. You have one that's kind of pointed towards the front, and then there's two others that are on other similar style buildings, parts of buildings near this. So you have a bunch of little gold fanciness, just decorations and stuff. You have some gold frogs. You have some gold dragon head hilts. You have some golden claws. I mean, there's just gold everywhere, and it really pops. It really stands out against the blue. Now, the cool thing about all of this is you just get this really, really unique, Asian culture building idea. The idea of their architecture and stuff, and maybe not even so much today, but historically, and it just looks really, really nicely done. Feels a lot like Ninjago style buildings throughout the years and stuff, but really good stuff overall. I keep saying stuff. Anyway, so as you descend down from the roof, you have, again, some golden railing and stuff like that. You have some white columns that are sticking up. One of the really unique things about this part of the build, and a lot of the parts that have windows, there's a lot of trans elements, that trans lighter blue color everywhere. And all of these trans elements, not all of them, most of them, especially the 1x2 plates, are built on their side. You do a lot of side building for the windows and stuff throughout the entire build, which really makes it a lot of fun. And you just see things getting put together in a different orientation, in a different design fashion. And it's really great. So you have this little walkway that wraps around the entire top part of this thing. And then you have these gorgeous little doors that have stickers on them. Unfortunately, they're double doors, and they're just on tiles. They're on long teal tiles. So you can open those doors. You get entry into, what is inside of this thing. I'm not really sure what it's all supposed to be. But you have two little desks or counters, whatever you want to call them, pieces of furniture. One has a little geode. One has a bluish type crystal. The other has a red crystal. One has an egg with a golden egg base, like the shell piece on the bottom. And there's really nothing else in here. There's not a whole lot of room to stand minifigs. Not a whole lot of craziness here. You do have another sticker print just above the doors as well. I say sticker print. I meant stickers just above the doors. Now, behind each of these tables that have these items, you have another actual complete window, a solid piece of a window with the gold, what are they called? Shutters, I guess, that open inward. Can't really do anything with them, unfortunately. I think it would probably have been best to have them open outward, but I'm pretty sure that's the way the instructions had it. Anyway, so now that we're on the rear here, I'm going to go to the left, and there is a giant red column that is sticking up. It's supposed to look like a bow staff. It reminds me very much so of the one, size-wise, to the one on the giant Monkey King mech that we got early. It was earlier in the year, in that first wave. Now, this thing sits there. It is very loose. It is very, very loose. There is no stud connection whatsoever on the bottom of this. It is tucked into this little rocky formation. This is where they use one of those Lego City Fire pieces, the big new ones that have there's two little open studs. that are on the top, and then you have your big thick flame. They use that in dark bluish gray. They have some in the dark blue in here as well, which will be on the other side of this. However, this thing does lift off, and down inside of here you have I think it's the Monkey King's staff. It's red with the gold hilts on the end, and that is just what is under there. I'm not really quite sure the significance of this with that. The idea that it's hiding it is kind of fun. But I will tell you that if you mess about with this too much, you can actually knock that thing loose. Not a big deal. You just put it back into place. But, I wish there was at least a studded connection, just something small under there. There's nothing. It's just tiles that it is resting on. So there are some stickers that are on the back of that rocky little outcropping that is holding all of this together. As we go further towards the left, we have another little pagoda type building here. There's some kind of game that is going on. It's a little tabletop with a sticker. To me, I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, it's some kind of like checkers or chess or something like that based on the game board. You have another one of those opalescent spheres that are on the top. The design of the building is identical to the other one that we talked about. Same color scheme, same kind of elements that are going on, except this one is sitting at a 45-degree angle compared to the front of the building, which is actually really nice. So now we're going to descend just a little bit and underneath both of these. And down on the inside here, we have a few different things. We have this gorgeous sticker. It is a sticker. By the way, all the stickers in this entire set are clear backed. Every single one of the stickers is. So it does make it a little bit better aligning them and stuff like that. You don't have to worry about color difference and everything. That really, I am very appreciative of that. So we have some windows that are down here in this little room section built on the sides yet again. We have two chairs here that have golden hilts. Golden dragon head hilts. Oh my God, that's a mouthful. For the armrests on these brown chairs, a little part of a brown table. And then you almost have this kind of a shrine that is going here. Some stickers that are up on the side. And then this giant sticker that is in the middle has a minifig in pink that is kind of bowing over, bending down to this other minifig with this dark white, giant white beard in a teal robe. Again, I'm not 100% sure what the significance is of that, but it's nice to be able to see something like that. It just gets you more focused into what is going on. And again, I don't know 100% what's going on, but it's the idea that you are getting that extra with the build. As we move towards the right even further, we are in the center. We are directly below where we walked through with those double doors that were the giant teal tiles, the 2x6s. Anyway, so we have a few different types of weapons here. We have some armor that is sitting out in the center of this building, this room, I should say. We have 4 swords that are in here. There's 4 spears that are in here. Some more adornments of, to let you know this is an Asian inspired theme. More of the windows. These are 2 window pieces tall, more of the side built windows. And then we have the maracas of death, from the elephant guy. No, it's not maracas of death, but you have those. And the cool thing about this is there's a giant chair that, that the master, the king, the whatever, the dragon of the East, his little throne is through this trans clear piece. You can see it. And it's really cool because, again, like I said, you have all these trans pieces and then all this teal, but then the gold as well. But the windows, the way that they did the windows is they have those gold. They're used on like fence pieces and stuff like that often, or just some extra decoration. But it's kind of like a latticed window. Well, I guess latticed might not be the right term, but it's really neat to see because you can really get some depth, and it's not just blocked off, but it adds some detail, some texture and stuff like that, which is really neat. So as we move to the furthest part of the right, we have here the sleeping quarters, I guess, of the dragon guy, and a nice little brick built canopy bed here, which is kind of neat. Brick built pillow, of course. Now, here's what we're going to do. We're going to move up above now. And so we are if you're looking at it from the rear, we are very far to the right. If you are looking at it from the front, we are very far to the left. So this is to the right of the main entryway that we walked into originally. You have a dragon here, part of a dragon, that is sitting on a turnstile, which is actually pretty neatly done. And the dragon really doesn't move all that much. Its head can move around. You can rotate it around 360 degrees if you manipulate the arms the right way, because they may catch on some of it. But it's this nice little build. Like I said, you can rotate the head around. But it's a nice little build, has a lot of stickers that are on it. The claws on this thing for the hands are actually really neatly done. This one of them has one of those spheres in it again. The dragon head is actually pretty nicely done. A lot of wispy gold pieces and stuff. He's got blue fire type pieces coming out of his nostrils, which is kind of unique. Different kind of pieces used for his teeth. His mouth does open. And it has an opalescence piece in there as well for, I guess, where the tongue would be. Really nice stuff. I love the way the eyes are done with those smaller opalescence. I guess, what are they? Are they hexagons? I think they might be octagons. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on that. Anyway, so we do have that. And it's, like I said, it's really cool to have this thing be able to spin around. You can have its head move around a little bit, but you can't do much of else to have it go here, there, everywhere. Okay, so now some of you are probably wondering, why in the heck did we start at the top? Yes, we started at the center, but why did we start at the top in the center, go to the back of that, go this way, that way, and then come back around to the front? Well, there is a method to the madness. The reason is the main focal point is the very top end of this, because that is where all the big stuff is. You got the dragon and stuff. But I wanted to show you from the front going through into the back. That way, when you come out to the front, things make a little bit more sense. So the front has a bunch of different things to talk about, and is actually one of those moments that is really important because this thing does open. Thus the reason I wanted to explain everything on the back side, so you get an idea of how the depth goes and where certain things may or may not be. So in the very front of this is down below where we walked in, up on that balcony and stuff. We have this gorgeous display of underwater cavery and, I guess, outcroppings to a certain degree of all this wildlife and plant life and just all kinds of different things that are going on here. Different colored rocks and different crustaceans and all kinds of different things that are just kind of hanging out here. So the very center, you have a spot on the left, because there's two different spots that open. The left side opens and the right side opens. And the design of how this is done is incredibly cool. It actually took me a few minutes to figure out, looking at the instructions, where in the hell some of this went. Anyway, I digress. So we have on the left part that opens in the front, we have a little light blue fish that's here with some stickers. By the way, the stickers show different type of little tiny plants and stuff like that. But you have a bag of these elements that we've seen, I believe it was in Lego Friends not long ago, but it's a whole bunch of different creatures like crustaceans and fish. And, you have a clam, you have a couple of these angelfish, you have a starfish, you have some seahorse pieces, all of that kind of stuff. It gives it a very much an aquarium feel. Like if you were to just put something to block your view across the top, you'd be like, holy crap, this feels like an aquarium. Like there's magenta coral pieces, you've got crabs strewn about, different colored fish at different angles, which is really neat that you can move these, by the way. Not all of them. Some of them are on little kind of robotic arms that you can move those pieces around. Some of them are just stuck into clips, which is fine as well. So you have an opening here. You can see some of the fish swimming, nothing else on the other side. I do like the idea of how they did this kind of sea creature. I'm not 100% sure what this is supposed to be. They used a pair of cherries and a white ice cream poo piece, and they basically, clipped that together by a modified, I guess you could call it a modified plate clip, whatever. And they just connect on each side respectively, and you just have this really kind of cool looking creature that is there. It almost reminds me of like some kind of shrimp or crab, or I don't know. I don't know what it is. All right. Before we move any further on, we have to take a quick ad break. We'll be back in a moment. As we go to the left, You get another scene here, and I really, really like this one. This one really sucked me in. I can see somebody taking this idea and just making a lot of things with this. And where I'm at in my head with this is, because as my wife says, I need to be better about explaining. I give you letter D, but I did A, B, and C in my head, and you're like, whoa, what? Anyway, I think it would have been really cool to have a light brick in here shining down on that. I think that would have been absolutely wicked to have something like that. That would have been so much fun, so neat to have. So you have some coral pieces in here yet again. They have the new leaf element, the new palm element that is in here as well. And here's what I really like. They did a recolor of that palm element, that fern element, not palm element. The fern element in that opalescence purple color instead of the opalescence blue, which is really, really neat. In here, you have a few different colored fish as well. You've got some vinage that is kind of flowing there, some seagrass or whatever. And they have this piece. I'm trying to remember where it came from. It looks like something that goes to Trolls, the theme, but I'm pretty sure it's not. Anyway, it looks like if you've ever taken a mop, like an actual real mop, with all the strands on it, it looks like a mop piece that is upside down. And that's supposed to feel the water and stuff like that, the current. There we go. Moving these tendrils and stuff around. There's also a little compass that is stuck down in here, which is kind of unique. I'm sure there's some sort of significance to it, but I'm not really positive what that is. So let's go back towards the right. So we would go from the center to the right. We've already talked a little bit about what's already in here on that right part a little bit with some of the starfish and some of the purple stuff that is the purple coral pieces and such. But aside from that, there's the beginning of a walkway that gets you up to that top little palace, and it gets you up to that game board area because somebody's going to do some gaming, I guess. It's really kind of cute. You have the seahorses that, say, hey, walk through here, please. More stickers and stuff. But, the thing that I found really fascinating about this is it wasn't just, well, here's a level, 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 here. That's not how they did this. They really kind of came up with new design ideas on how to link some of these pieces together that I've definitely not seen in a Monkey Kid set before. But I'm really hard pressed to think of a set that I've done in the recent years that is kind of just taken this idea and was like, you know what, we're just going to kind of go off the book, because you would expect some of these plates for these tiers to touch, and they don't touch. And it kind of makes you want to scream and yell and say, what were you thinking? But no, that is not the case. Anyway, so that can lead you up to the very top. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide this thing open, and this thing becomes super wide as you do that. It just gets larger and larger, it feels. Inside, this is where you have the throne room. The throne that we talked about that you could see from the back end. Here is where it's really neat, because you have those translight pieces and everything lights up on the inside. It feels like you're underwater. Maybe not in real world underwater, but I feel like I'm in the Bahamas. I feel like I'm in, southern Mexico, in some of those places where it's gorgeous. The water is gorgeous, and like you feel that here. So you have this big brick built throne, this chair for this guy. There are two little tables that are able to be, you can sit at them because they're sitting on the floor here. So you can plop his butt onto those two studs, or his or her, whoever's coming to visit, and you can have some tea. There's a tea kettle and a little bowl there for each. One of the ways that they did the angles for the stairs to his throne and then the side pieces, I think is really unique. I'm not going to ruin it for you. I think that you should do it. And first off, this set is going to be really neat to display, but some of the techniques, like I said, there's just no way for me to really get deep down into them. Now, here is where I had my first problem. So this part of the build, this was one of the first, I swear it was the first bag. It was one of the first two bags. So I'm going through, and sometimes you get to an end of a bag and you say, oh crap, I'm missing a piece. inevitably you go, oh, okay, I got to check my bag. It's probably stuck in a corner, right? Or it fell on the floor, or it's hiding under something else. You spend a few minutes, you're like, damn it, I knew it was there. Oh, it was up in the corner. I knew it. That's why I keep my bags until I'm done everything. Like if I'm building, it doesn't matter what I'm building, whether it's 5 bags or 70 whatever bags it was in the Eiffel Tower, I'm not throwing any out until I'm completed. Just in the off chance that I miss something. So here's where the issue came into play. And you're probably not going to believe me at first, but it's realistic. So one of the pieces in this set, there's actually 2 of them. They go underneath the bottom plate of this little section where you sit to drink your tea. It looks like a little plus sign. It's a purple plus sign. And it sits down into this cavity so that your stuff can be elevated. Instead of just doing heavy stack plates on top of each other, they chose to do the little plus piece, the little cross piece. Here's where the issue is. I get to the end of not even to the end of the bag. I'm putting, we're supposed to build 2 of these. I'm building one and I'm like, okay, let's do the other one. I can't find the piece. I'm like, look ahead in the instructions a little bit. I'm like, I don't need this right now. Let's wait until the bag is done. Bag is done. Have a piece left. It's not that piece. I'm like, okay, I don't know what this piece goes to. Go back to the beginning of the instructions for that bag. This piece isn't used in this instructions. Okay, put it aside. Continue to build. Get, I don't know, pretty much the entire way done. Because I'm thinking, okay, I've run into an issue before on the Eiffel Tower where there was a piece missing from a bag, but it was in another bag. And it was something small. Now, if you know anything about Lego's, bagging distribution, everything is done by weight. So certain elements put together are going to weigh so much. I don't have a scale that is that minute of an amount to come up with my hypothesis here. Well, I get to a point where I'm like, I'm pretty much done and I haven't come across this piece. It's not going to be in the final bag because that color's not in there. So I'm sitting here, I'm like, where in the heck is this piece? So I go to the instruction booklet. If you don't know this, if you go to the back of the instruction booklet, in this case, there were 3 of them. It's always in the last instruction booklet. It tells you the part, the piece ID number, and it tells you how many of each of those are in the entire build. I was supposed to have 2 of those purple plus signs. I got 1. The other piece that I got was a modified 1x2 brick in light bluish gray that is a little clicky joint hinge, not used in the build at all. I tore my entire building area apart, looked everywhere in this studio room, everywhere, could not find it. It was nowhere. So I called Lego and, you say, hey, an ambassador, the set's not out yet, but here's my dilemma. This is not the first time I've had to do it, but it's not as often as you think. Like I said, most people end up leaving it in the bag or it falls on the floor and little Jimmy's dog eats it or something, and they'll replace it for you. So the guy was really nice and said, yeah, we'll get the piece sent out to you and stuff. And I said, I just want to let y'all know because in case this happens again, it's something as an ambassador with early review copies, you put in your report and say, hey, I came across this. If you recall, and I can't remember if I brought this up on another episode after I did it, but the Ferrari, the big Technic Ferrari that I had built last year, the drivetrain, the instructions were messed up. And I had talked with Balesh from Racing Brick, and he found out exactly where it was because he's the Technic guru. Found out where it was, fixed it, and let Lego know, hey, you need to adjust your instructions. Here's the problem. So I reached out because there's a number of us in the community that are ambassadors that are big Monkey Kid and big Ninjago supporters. And we are considered those communities to not specifically, but often, we get asked to do things from Ninjago, thus going to New York City for the Crystallized premiere and all that whole thing. So I reached out to Bricks by Mind. I don't know if he wants me to share his first name or not, so I won't. So I reached out to him on Twitter because he's been, going through all his stuff like I have. And I said, hey, I ran into this issue, told him what it was, shot a picture of, the instructions at the back and hey, this is the piece that I got. He had a similar issue, not the same 2 pieces, but he got a piece. They were smaller pieces, but he got a piece he wasn't supposed to and was missing another one that he needed, of which he said, I just pulled out of my supply. I didn't have the specific plus sign piece. I didn't have it, especially not in that darker purple color. I don't have that. It's not something I have readily available. So that's the reason I called. And I thought it was fascinating. And I said, I still can't believe that it happened. How in the hell did this happen? Honestly, that makes no sense. There's no possible way this should even be a thing, but it's a thing. And it did happen. So I'm still waiting on my piece. Well, it's actually probably here. I haven't checked the mail in a couple days. So it can happen. So I'm telling you, if you do come across it, exhaust your options first. Look at, did I lose a piece somewhere? Did I put a piece in the wrong spot? Did I leave it in the corner of the bag? Because it does happen. It happens to all of us. And if you say, no, I've never done that, you're lying. I promise you're lying. So that's just something to think about. It's not any kind of negativity towards the set. I did not experience that to this degree before. It's usually something smaller. So then I started thinking, okay, with this plus sign piece and this other piece that I got, what if they weigh similar, amounts of plastic? I don't have a way to measure that, but it definitely could be. So I thought it was very curious and I wanted to share it with you guys. Oh, and before I forget, there is one thing that I did totally forget to mention, and I knew I was going to forget because it is hidden. The stairway that goes from the bottom, that side when you slide it open, there is a dungeon that is in there, and there's a little a skeleton minifig with some handcuffs on his wrist. I knew I was going to forget it. As I was going through this thing, I was like, I know it's here. I can't remember where it's at. So I was sliding everything apart. The really cool thing about this build in general is some really cool ideas, really cool techniques, and especially because this thing does open. It does slide open. You can open both sides. You can open one side. It is completely up to you. You can be as adventurous as you would like to be. Now, the way that it is put together with Technic rails and Technic framing, and then these things are just sliding on those on tiles and stuff. It's not really anything that's difficult. It's not a complex machine, but my goodness, it slides effortlessly. It's just so cool looking. So as a whole, I really enjoyed the set. This is going on my shelf as soon as I'm done with it here. Just like I did with the last big one of the last wave. I can't remember what it was called off the top of my head, but without a doubt, you need to consider looking into this one. I know the price is not small, and there's so many other things that are coming out. I completely understand that. Get some cool minifigs, yes, but the build is really, really cool. I'm a big fan of the build. The one thing that, like I said, I wish would have been different. I really wish the little giant staff piece actually did connect in with a stud or two. That would have been perfect. Unfortunately, it doesn't, but that's a simple modification that you could do yourself or recommend somebody else do themselves. It's really not that complicated whatsoever at all. So the question becomes, is it worth it? I cannot answer that question for you. You are the one that is going to have to look inside of your piggy bank and determine in your heart of hearts, do I really want to throw this down or not? Now, the cool thing is it's going to be around for a while. Monkey Kid stuff. It's not like it's here for 6 months and gone or anything like that. It's going to be around quite a long time. Now, if only I can get some significance. Now, I will say, I do know a few guys that have a very unique understanding of this. One of them is the Rambling Brick. And hopefully here, as summer is now here for teachers here in Texas, hopefully we can have Richard on soon so that he can discuss the significance, because he knows the background history and significance of Monkey Kid. So that is definitely something that I want to hear so that I have a better understanding of what in the world is going on with that stuff. So that's going to wrap up the episode. The last few things real quick. The wave as a whole, I thought was really kind of unique. Not the biggest fan of the airship. Thought it was okay. Of course, anything that kind of looks like a mech to me, I'm all hands on board. The dragon was kind of neat, just with its little play functionality with the tail. I thought was kind of neat. But my goodness, the the crown jewel of the Dragon of the East Palace is just, it's something that's going to rival a lot of play sets for a long period of time. That would probably be the only other thing. It doesn't have a whole lot of like play features or play functions to it. Yes, it slides apart, but there's nothing like you're pressing a lever and, you know, somebody's going flying through the air or things are dropping a rolling ball to, you know, there's none of that, which, you know, it depends. You could be really nitpicky and be like, well, that sucks because it doesn't. It's completely up to you. So until we meet again, I'm your minifig host, Matt. Let's build on it.